Want to come back?
Thank you.
Okay. First, I want to start with the self-introduction. Probably, my name is Alice. I come from the wonderland of China. I was born and brought up over there for 18 years before I actually started to explore some other places. Like I went to Hong Kong for my undergrad. Later on, came to the West Coast, and ever since I've become like a California girl. Yeah. I've been here for around, actually till right now, around like 6 years. Really like the weather over here. Here. Yeah. So actually when Yao, a lot of people ask me how I actually get to know Yao. I actually met her in a CMU alumni event, even though I was fake CMU, like a student. I was not alum. I was alumni. I graduated from Stanford. However, I was actually kind of like I was friends with another person who graduated from CMU, and we were playing kickboxing together. And I was kind of like inviting her to come to our alumni party, and later on, as kind of like a turn, she actually invited me to go there. And we actually met each other exactly around like 1 year ago. And I met Yao and also Xinghai and also Chen Yang like in the same party, and turned out to be pretty good friends later on. When she told me about this like living room talks, I think this is very inspiring because for myself, I really like TED Talks a lot. I usually, when I was running on the treadmill, I usually like wanted to listen to something. TED Talks is something like by default that I choose. And sometimes I also like listen to the Chinese version of the Audible, which is called Himalaya. That's something that I usually like to listen to while I was having time and don't want to like read any books. And she said like, why don't you come over and wanted to share something. So I was thinking about what kind of things to share, because even though by profession I was kind of I'm not like an engineer here. I always joke that okay, I added diversity to the engineering group in the Bay Area. Maybe I can talk a little bit about my job or my profession, but I think that's gonna be maybe a little bit boring for you guys. And I was thinking about, because last time out of the another like alumni gathering, just last weekend, when we like a reunion again in that gathering event, and after that I remember Yao told me, okay, it seems like it's very easy for you to actually have a conversation with others, because when you stand there, then just like people start naturally wanting to talk to you. And I never actually thought about it, because I never think it's really hard to actually start a conversation for me. However, when I think about it, I think maybe there's something that I can share versus how to actually manage or start a conversation, which actually I hopefully could be helpful to a lot of people, even though I didn't actually expect the combination of the audiences here is like this, because I was expecting a lot of Chinese coming over, because I used to be somebody who's really shy. When I was back at school. However, my profession, I actually worked as an investment banker here, and when I was in my undergrad, I was studying economics and finance. A lot of the times when I was doing the internship in some of the companies, so they encourage us to actually just go out and talk to people, because they think it is something that investment bankers should do. And this is the way that you actually get connected to people, and that's the way probably sometimes you just get the deals. I was not so used to that, especially when they actually put you in a social event. There are a lot of people, you just throw you there. There are a lot of people you don't really know. You're just walking while a lot of people, you don't know what to talk about. I used to be feeling really uncomfortable breaking into this kind of situation. However, gradually I kind of observing all those other people who did a really good job in interacting with others, kind of try to learn from them. What are some of the key points that can actually helping them to easily get mingled with other people together and have a really good and pretty engaging conversation. I mean, by good conversation, I didn't mean that, okay, just go there and say, hey, yo, so what's up or something. I mean, that's kind of something really, still stop on the a pretty shallow point, not to the deep point that people wanted to actually have a second conversation with you. And later on, I just thought about it. Probably there's something which can actually be generalized and be applied to some of the other scenarios that everybody wants to, like getting to a conversation like that. So I thought about it. There were some thoughts like that I generalized, but I actually really enjoy like everybody's kind of like a speech here. I didn't actually prepare that very well because I just write down several bullet points on my little like notebook. I didn't intend to actually generalize in a way which is really systematic, but I still wanted to share with you guys, and I hope in the same time that if you guys, because I see a lot of you guys are really good communicators here, if you guys have anything which you think could be really interesting to share, you're also welcome to like join me in sharing this, like sharing your thoughts with the other people, with the audiences, to make it more like complete, I'd say. Yeah. So from my kind of observation, like how you actually can engage in a conversation with others, first is like who you are actually make this conversation really exciting or interesting to go on. That actually depends on what kind of topics actually bring to this conversation. A lot of people, like there are some friends who ever complain to me, okay, this person is just so boring. So by defining boring, probably it's just because this person was kind of not actually bringing up something that he was doing or she was doing to the audiences that can trigger some of the interest. Well, I don't think by nature there's somebody who is like a really just boring, because there are people who have really kind of like narrow kind of focuses of interest, but they can explore it really deep. Like one of my friends who really likes photographing a lot. If you talk about like ski with him together, probably he doesn't want, he has nothing to talk about. But if you ever touch anything about photography, he can tell a lot of tons of stories. So you will find he's really okay. This person is really attractive and talking about a lot of things like that I never actually that I really like never know, because people naturally admire somebody who knows something that you don't know. So first, maybe by yourself you have something to tell others. Whether you have like a really broad interest, for example, for myself, I don't do something out of like a just personal interest. I don't do something which is like really like deep. I don't devote around like 10,000 hours. There is like 10,000 hours theory in terms of like doing one thing. I kind of like spread my free time towards like between a lot of things. For example, I like dancing. Like in my free time I do international Latin dance, and I like ski during the winter time, and during the summertime I just like to go out for hiking. And for myself, I also like go to the gym kind of like pretty frequently every week. I have like a personal trainer before, so whenever I see somebody or start the conversation, as a starting point, so you would kind of like got a sense of, okay, what this person was kind of like interested in. So as a starting point, you would always ask, okay, what do you do probably as a profession, and what do you do like as hobbies? So whenever their hobbies kind of like overlap with the one or two of your hobbies, so there are some ways of finding some common grounds and have the conversation over there. Yeah, an example would be for example, some of my like friends, like male friends, who likes to go to the gym like every day, but they would think that girls don't maybe don't actually like usually as frequently in a Chinese community to find a personal trainer to do a lot of stuff. However, if I did something and I like share this, like what my coach actually taught me, and what are some of the facts that I learned from this process, then they would be also interested in actually having or continue this conversation with me. And if I met somebody who is really good at snow or ski during the winter time, we can actually talk a lot about okay, which kind of ski resorts do you usually go to, and what are some of the like levels that you're at, where you go even for like ski boots or something. This is something which like as a starting point of a conversation like that. So if you're somebody who really is an expert in something, not as like broad interest in a lot of stuff, then you could actually bring this up by yourself. By testing like whether other people could be interested in your topic. If if you think that okay, they're interested in listening to you to express something about your topic, then that's a good start of a conversation. However, if you just test it out a little bit and they're not interested in your conversation, maybe you can just switch. That's what I'm going to like talk in next step. Is if you just happen to go to like this group of people and they turn out to be not interested in something that you're really good at, probably at this time just switch your role to become a good listener, because by engaging in a conversation, you don't have to be always the person who is speaking. Like a message deliverer, but usually there are a lot of other people around there. They have a lot of other things you may want to like learn and listen. But being a good listener actually also requires a lot of kind of like attention and also expertise in terms of show that you're engaging. But by showing that, I'm not saying like you have to pretending that you're engaging, but more like a genuine, like you're engaging. Yeah. If somebody was saying something and you're really like engaged in their conversation, naturally, first your eye contact, you'd be actually looking at this person like more directly instead of like wandering around, because that can easily send the message that okay, I don't want it to like listen to what you're talking about. And another thing is about body gesture. So I read a book about like body gesture, kind of like forget the names. However, it actually kind of like implicitly, it doesn't explicitly say that okay, your body gesture exactly expressing something, but it's more like your kind of like hidden message to others. When you just have a conversation with just one person, if you wanted to, for example, like Jason, if I wanted to listen to like what Jason was speaking, I wouldn't actually facing this way and just listen to him. Yeah, usually I would turn my body a little bit towards him to try to actually be more engaging. And in that way you can listen better. That's kind of just a natural thing, right? Another thing is about your facial expression. So, and in terms of like the gesture of nodding your head, disagree or agree or disagree, right?
Sorry, I want to add something.
Yeah.
Because it reminds me, I watched a YouTube video before, and I think it says when you're really engaged in the conversation or you're really attracted by someone, you're like your foot, your toes is gonna point that person. Even if, like, for example, if I'm
sometimes it's more than just my toes.
I like that.
My fingers too, come on!
Yeah, but that's just what that's what they said, that like they observed and they come up with a statistic. For example, I'm talking to Ricky, or maybe I'm just yeah, but maybe that's I don't know if it's
that's more like in a standing gesture. You wanted to switch your body kind of towards that person. Yeah, if you observe that, that's true. And
can we all take a moment to point our toes at her?
I think the book is called
And fingers.
The Definite Book for Body Language, right? Maybe.
Probably yes. Yeah, I read it like a long time ago, but I only like remember several ones. Another one, just as a side topic, is that okay, when you actually were talking to people, I do that like more intentionally, because previously when I talk to people, I always wanted to cross my hands, just because you don't know where to put your hands when you're standing over there. If you don't have a bag or something, you always feel a little bit weird, like if you just put your hands like down, right? So this has been pointed out by one of my like close friends, and he told me, Alice, never do this, because in this way you're kind of like keeping distance from others. This is the gesture that people wanted to say that okay, I wanted to prove that or like show that I'm more powerful. Just imagine, why are you
I'm getting engaged.
adjusting?
Thank you, Ellen.
This looks like being closed off as well. That's what they say in the body language. So I catch myself doing it.
So it's kind of like more keeping others away, right?
I'm curious about that. So if you guys are at like in social situations, I think most of us want to do this oftentimes, more defensive. If you're at home, do you ever find yourself just like standing with your arms to your side?
I'm not standing. I would not be standing.
When you're nervous, you're more conscious about your extremity.
Yeah, the question the point I'm raising is if in social situations we're more like self-conscious about what we're doing with our body, whereas at home we like wouldn't mind just having our arms dangling.
Right.
Whereas in social situations I'm like If I'm just talking to Jason, like, hey, what's up, man? Like, this would be more awkward than, like, this would be more comfortable.
No, it's
Yeah.
not awkward at all. Because I actually.
I agree. It doesn't actually appear awkward if I'm just talking to Jason, like, hey, what's up, man?
Yeah,
but
it's not
it may
awkward, right?
feel awkward.
You want to check distance from Jason. I need a distance.
What's up, Jason?
I still like how Jason is the recipient of every single exam.
Chose that spot.
Just let it dangle when you're in front of me. Feel free.
Because I actually took a class.
Definitely for sure.
I actually took a class called public speech. So that actually required the students to take turns, like 2 to 3 minutes, to go to the stage and do like a speech by yourself. So a lot of people were thinking, like practicing at home. They were thinking about where to put the hands. But the teacher later on said, why don't you just practice? Have your hands just next to your body. Have it naturally down. You think that that's gonna like feel really weird, but when you actually look at it in the mirror, it's really natural. Yeah, when you actually recall a lot of the conversations that people, like speeches like delivered by all those like the pretty famous speakers, a lot of like TED speakers, they were actually standing over there. I didn't see a lot of them actually, doing like weird gestures, because they actually have trained themselves, like have been trained by some of the trainers to intentionally to tell them what to do. Look at how like Obama like delivered the speech or something. I don't think he's ever going to deliver the speech like in this way. It's just a lot of people sometimes like unnaturally develop this kind of like habit. So for myself, I used to do that, but right now I kind of like more intentionally telling myself not to do that. Instead, not because I kind of like feel uncomfortable doing this. It's more about